Food insecurity is a situation where a country is unable to qualitatively and quantitatively supply food to feed its citizens. In mid-1980s, Kenya almost attained a status of self-sufficiency, a situation which has since been eroded by several unfavorable conditions. Our farming is predominantly rain-fed, with irrigation infrastructure poorly developed, and as we all know, only 20% of the country receives adequate rainfall to support agriculture, while the remaining 80% is arid and semi-arid, and therefore vulnerable to drought. This year, drought has affected a large part of the semi-arid and arid areas, resulting to food insecurity, particularly in the northern and northeastern areas and a few parts of the southeastern lowlands of Kenya. It is estimated that people affected are 4 million, 3.5 million of whom live in arid and semi-arid areas of the country, while 0.5 million are in the urban areas. The influx of over 1,000 Somali refugees on a daily basis into Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera, most of them severely malnourished, has exerted severe pressure on food supply. An estimated 70,000 refugees are at severe risk because most arrive close to the camps in a precarious state and still have no access to food, water, and shelter. The unreliable rainfall regime is slowly eroding the farmers' confidence in crop production. Moisture stress, total crop failure, and poor performing crops are a common feature even in the high potential areas. A near total crop failure has occurred in the cropping areas of the southeastern and parts of the coastal lowlands. While the long rain season is a relatively minor season in the lowlands, a succession of two poor previous seasons has widened household food deficits amidst record cereal prices. Livestock has not been spared. Pastoralists are losing livestock, particularly the more vulnerable cattle and sheep, because return trekking distances between water and pasture exceed the capacity of the livestock. The worst affected areas are Wajir, Mandera, Marsabit, Moyale, Eastern Samburu, and Northern Isiolo. Pasture depletion and water scarcity have reached worrisome levels in areas where livestock have clustered, and serious conflicts have been reported in Isiolo, Kitui, and Mwingi. An upsurge in livestock diseases has been reported in eastern Wajir. The prolonged drought has reduced flows in some rivers and streams. Lake Turkana, River Omo, and River Turkwel in the drought regions have been significantly affected. Low inflows into the lakes and reservoirs coupled with high evaporation effects have contributed to the receding water levels. This has resulted to a decline in fish production. The exposure of the shores has led to loss of vegetation and other cover, destroying the habitat supporting aquatic insects and other invertebrates, including loss of spawning areas for some fish species like catfish and protection for young fish. There is a current water shortage in Kenya due to low rainfall, which is more severe in the northern parts of the country and some parts of the eastern lowlands. The government has declared a power rationing program which subsequently affects production. Irrigation schemes have also been affected as a result of the prolonged drought. While scarcity of food remains the key factor increasing malnutrition, impacts of conflict, poor hygiene practices, and disease are also contributing to some of the malnutrition levels. Conflict in the localized areas of the northeast of Turkana has resulted in displacement of several thousand people and loss of livelihoods, while preventing access by intervening organizations, therefore causing the highest levels of malnutrition on record. Desertification and land degradation in the country are a serious challenge. Ecosystems, especially in the drylands, have been subjected to stress as trees and shrubs are cut for use as cooking fuel, hence reducing their capacity to give services, that is, ecological, social, and economic. Further losses are likely to occur as drought conditions intensify and competition for resources escalates. Intervention efforts by local administrative structures have been largely unsuccessful as pastoralists move further inward.
Unaenda kule kwa karibu na Magadi, ule Lake Natron. Iko ng'ombe wakati hiyo 270. Unakuja wakati hiyo unapeleka ng'ombe mpaka Machakos, karibu na Machakos kule, mpaka Tala. Unapeleka hiyo ng'ombe, unaenda pande hiyo. Unafikisha ng'ombe 130. Ng'ombe ingine unakufa njia hii.
But perhaps the immediate problem is the purchasing capacities as opposed to absence of food in markets. Nevertheless, cereal supply is also tightening and most pastoral and farm households are unable to purchase food at prevailing prices, which range between 70 to 130% higher than normal levels. While livestock markets are generally well supplied, livestock prices are steadily declining as distress sales increase. Overly weakened animals may no longer be suitable for purchase. Food insecurity situation is complicated by poor infrastructure and markets, poor distribution network, poor storage structures, lack of processing facilities, and our eating habits. But all this said, are there any efforts by the government and its partners to alleviate the situation?
La 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 la.